Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Conversations in Pop Culture. This is my second interview of the day, and I have the living legend LuFisto here, who I've been wanting to do for 2+ years at this point. So, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's been a rough week, but overall pretty good.
Yeah, it's been a very bizarre wrestling week from the very top of this week
Mhm.
to the back end. And we're going to talk a little bit about the back end in a little bit, but you are kind of the lightning rod and the centerpiece and what caught fire with this entire CZW issue.
Mhm.
And some people know what it's about. People have been following on Twitter, have an idea of what's going on, but you made a video about it, and that's kind of how this all started. So,
Mhm.
what exactly happened for starters before, so
Um,
everybody gets caught up on where we're at?
yeah, the story is a lot like it's longer than what I actually explained on my video because I couldn't tell everything. What happened is about a month and a half ago, a fan complained online that Mercedes Martinez versus LuFisto should not be advertised as a cat fight. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he sent me the link, and that's where I saw sweaty girls in dirty fights, revealing all in matches. Mercedes Martinez versus LuFisto. There was Leva Bates, Anaya. I can't remember who else was on that specific pay per view, but the whole thing has been rebranded not as WSU, but CCW Girls with a Z. And I found another one where it was something about all assets revealed or something like that. And with images of us, it was actually captures from us bending over, and then when you take a German suplex, like big shot on her crotch and all that stuff. And I only tweeted like, "What's up with that, CCW?" And they reached out to me saying, we respect everything you did in the past. I'm sorry we sold the footage to a third party. That's how they want to present you girls. We can't do nothing about it. We tried, but oh well. And I went back and forth with them saying, it's your brand, it's your name. How can you do this? You know that we did not sign up for this. And when I saw that they just didn't care, I kind of gave up and stopped talking to them. And it took fast forward to last week, which is like I said, about a month and a half after. I was really hoping that they would change their minds, that they would again like go back to WSU and wrestling with the original titles like Power, Battle Tested, Breaking Barriers. Because here's the main thing that people don't know. Um, when WSW was bought by CZW, what we were told when they were be calling us to get booked and everything, their main goal was to make WSU like the shimmer of the East Coast. They wanted it to be a serious women's wrestling promotion. They wanted to have like great matches and make it like a home for all the female wrestlers to be the best they could be. So with this happening, I was like, this is really not what I signed up for. Not only you are rebranding all of us, like if we were like softcore, like the titles sound like if you go to your Triple X video on the
Top
cornerstones,
and
that's
heavy
what
is
it
a good
sounds like.
example. Top and heavy is a good example of that.
Yeah.
As a guy, and I'll openly say it, that definitely does not sound like a hardcore porn title, for lack of a
Mhm.
better word. And in full honesty, whatever consequences come my way, I'll take it, and I'm just going to say it that way. But it
Mhm.
definitely sounds suggestive
Very
to be
fetishy.
generous, to be generous,
Yeah.
and it's definitely more softcore porn
Yeah, that's
ish.
that's why I said softcore porn. Of course, it's not like as subjective as those triple X videos you would see, but the more softcore porn, that's what it sounds like. And there was actually a fan that was buying this video who sent me a message. He's like, "Well, I thought I was buying something like fetishy, and then I found you guys because you were like, and it was professional wrestling. Because not only are they kind of presenting us in a way that we're like not, but they're like kind of selling something that it's not to people who think they're actually buying, like sweaty girls in cat fights and I don't know, wearing all kinds of, I don't know what they're expecting, but um, what I'm trying to explain is that uh, we said yes to giving them our image, our name, and everything to produce professional wrestling shows and nothing else. And don't get me wrong, like when it's the way independent wrestling works. When you say yes and you show up to a wrestling show, we know that the footage is going to be sold. We know, but we expect like high spot independent wrestling, the net
IWTV.
DVDs, fight, all those things. And we're cool with that. We know we're not going to get any revenue from this. But when they change the way, the description of the matches, what they are, they pretend to be something else that they actually are, then that's where there is a problem because it's like going back years behind with the Attitude Era when people barely knew how to work. There was a few women, of course, that were really good, but that were also involved in gravy matches and what would they call like evening gown matches where they
You
would
had
rip
the incident with the cat where she took off her top at the pay per
exactly,
view.
exactly.
You had the entire China thing with the
Mhm.
split skit, which was whatever. It made sense for DX to some degree, but
Yeah.
that's not what we're talking about. Is all those bra and panty matches and how it took WWE almost 10 years to fix that, and this is almost going back to 2004 era or even 1998 era. You can make the argument.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with cat fights. Like, I would remember like Beulah or Francine, they would cat fight in the ring. It was so entertaining, but there was two managers colliding and they would add a little something to a match that was totally violent. And then this would get in and they would change the pace and make it interesting. There's nothing wrong with that. There's actually nothing wrong with the adult industry. Um, I've actually worked, I have 2 degrees in multimedia and graphic design, and I've actually worked for a porn company working on the pictures and whatever. So I have absolutely nothing against these
Yeah.
people, and it's a very hard business to be in. But if it is softcore porn, if it is the adult industry, then you promote it as such, and it's fine. That's, people get what they're expecting. But if you're promoting a serious professional wrestling promotion with women's wrestling and you keep telling your girls this is serious, we're going to make sure you guys are taking seriously and equals, and then you do that after, you're like, no. That's where there's like a difference. Or when people mixed up, but this girl's doing sexy pictures, or she has like a OnlyFans. I'm like, yeah, that's her business. She decides to do this and market herself as that. It's fine. Whatever she wants to do on her private time, she's an adult. Whatever. This has nothing to do with us and WSU or CCW. Um, as an adult, you can do whatever. But when you show up somewhere and you expect something and you're promised something and you are being told that this is serious and you'll be showcased as an athlete, and then suddenly they change their mind, you're like, okay, no, 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 this is not what I expected. This is not what I signed up for. Because if I knew they would like Brandon's like this, I would not wrestle there. Period.
So to go off of that, so clearly that kind of catches us up, and now they're doing this. This is relatively new. I don't know how new this is exactly, but you discovered it about a month and a half ago,
Hmm.
and then what? And then you were getting nowhere with them, in which that they had no response to you, CCW, which owns WSU, and just so everybody knows, this isn't from the CCW brand shows. This is most of the stuff is from WSU, which is the same company. I
Hmm.
want everybody
Yeah.
to be on the same page. And so now, fast forward, when did this video drop? Saturday or Sunday of last
It
week?
was it was I think Friday morning that I put it online because
So
after a few months, like a month and a half or so of hearing nothing from them, and yeah, like CCW has been my home. This is where I grew as an intergender. wrestler. They gave me a lot of exposure. And when John Zandig had it, when I got there, I was just a girl. They didn't, I mean, he didn't really care. I don't think so. But when he saw that I was working so hard and I really wanted to succeed, I went from the girl to being his kid. And he would call me kid. And he was always super respectful, pushing my limits. You can do it very, very supportive. And so CZW always had like a special place in my heart because of that. And so when this happens, like even when I was like thinking about the video, it took me like, yeah, like I said, it took me that month to say like, am I doing it? Am I doing it? I'm gonna wait and see what they're doing. If they, after I kind of call them out online, if they're gonna change their mind and go back to what it is actually supposed to be. And when I saw that no, they were on top heavy and all assets reveals and their asses were everywhere, I'm like, I gotta say something. Like it bothered me. It was wrong, and then I felt like it was the right thing to do to kind of call them out as professionally as I could. But in a way, I felt like the girls were kind of betrayed. So it was really hard for me here and there in the video to actually stay completely professional because I feel like we went from, oh, you're important to us to, no, you're tits and ass and we're going to use it and make money. So it's like, uh, it really feels like a betrayal from a company that um, not only me, but a few of the girls, we've been literally like shedding blood for this company. I mean, it's a new management. It's not the same as John's ending when I was there, but if we're only taking WSU, a lot of girls feel really betrayed for trusting them. It's one thing that fans go online and we get bullied, or they go on YouTube and they do those hot compilations where they zoom in on their butts or whatever. It's really hard to control. It's the fans, like you try to report, but YouTube is not doing anything or Twitter's not doing anything. But when it comes from a promotion that you trust in, that's where like the heartbreak is. You feel totally betrayed and you're like, no, I mean, that's not what you told me. Why are you doing this? And you try to understand, but really can't. And the only thing they did is that statement that says, "Oh, sorry, not sorry," basically. So that's when everybody like went nuts. The wrestlers, the female wrestlers, um, staff, a former booker says, "I can't believe I've worked that hard to for this wrestling company, and they're doing this. It's like all my work is in vain."
So I do want to make it clear, and I think you made it partially clear that this is under new management, and this management technically isn't all that new. From my understanding, they've been managing for about 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm going to say wwho it is because I really don't care, and I think
His
that
name is out there, so it doesn't matter.
it's DJ Hyde for those who don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'm going to say on the issue because I don't know what's going to come out of this myself on my end, and I don't know how Twitter, when this thing goes up on Twitter, how it's going to be acted upon from both sides. I really don't, and so I'm a little bit nervous. But what has that been like? Because now the video's up there. A few wrestling websites picked it up. A few big ones picked it up rather
Man,
quickly.
all over the world. Like I did podcasts in Australia. I did one with UK this morning. I did one with Canada 2 days ago. It's literally everywhere because the wrestling community as a whole, besides those few 5 or 10 people who are like women's are slut and women this and they're like really man. I've been like that's why this morning with Anna's death, like it's been it hit really close to home because since I released that video, I've been harassed daily by people who would create new accounts and would go on all platforms of social media just to send me like hate messages. And Kimberly was vocal about it too. She got death threats when she called out that she had been sexually harassed at CCW. A lot of girls, like this whole thing opened up like Pandora's box. A lot of girls who had issues like sexual harassment, sexual comments, finally had the strength to come out and be vocal about it. And of course, a lot of people were like, well, It's your fault you're wearing sexy outfits, but they won't mention anything about the guys wrestling in trucks. But it's the girls' fault. So thank God there's only a very few people who did that. And most of the community has been extremely supportive. Since yesterday, I have Mick Foley's support, which he's been such a blessing. Like I was feeling pretty down with the whole thing because I'm one of those people, unfortunately, who will focus more on the negative I see, even if like there's 10 people versus 1,000 people. But he's been really helpful and loving towards women's wrestling as a whole. Mikey Whipwreck also was very vocal about it. Ricky Champagne, former CCW champion, like really vocal about it. David Starr, um, Shug Duncanson and so many other like more wrestlers came out in support of all the women's wrestlers beyond wrestling. Like even promotion Shimmer and Rise were really helping us too with the support and saying that they had been approached to by the same company to get their footage, and they says no, we don't do that. This is disgusting to our talent. So at least there's a positive in that where the wrestling community is coming together because women's wrestling, the evolution, it doesn't come from WWE. It comes from the hard work to the independent, to the knockouts, to then WWE. It's been a very long road. And a lot of people, the independent people, and then a little bit like higher, they know the whole story that this is not new. It's been such a long road. And that one promotion is trying to bring us back for the sake of having more views or whatever and trying to destroy everything we've built. I mean, there's been a lot of love, and that's what I try to focus on. But the bad is so bad that we see it today that words can kill, and it's terrible. Like,
So to jump even further off of that point, because clearly there's been a massive amount of support, and
mhm,
now I like WWE, and I don't mean to throw them under the bus, but I haven't seen support out of them, and I don't think it's non-existent. I just think that there's certain things that people are protecting their own careers, and especially the women's division in particular. I haven't seen much support of, and this is not a shot at them, but what I
mhm,
have seen is that there's a lot of, I guess, companies above, not above, but slightly below, I should say. I misspoke there. Slightly below, like Impact and a few others around that have been very supportive. And
mhm.
Kimberly, who is now back in Impact, and then I don't know if Taya has been outspoken about it, but I know Jordan Grace has been. And
Jordan asked. Gil Kim was very supportive. Rebel, former TNA knockout, tweeted. I know Hero Hogan retweeted the video.
so what
Yeah.
has that been like? Because you know, if this was a run of the mill thing, that probably wouldn't have happened. But given that this is a big deal and that it's been gaining attention and it's been gaining a lot more attention in, I guess, the week that it's been out there, and that kind of the story is getting clearer, and that's why we're taking time to talk about it in a very
Mhm,
slow method, because that 4 minute video, and this isn't a shot, I don't want it to be interpreted that way, was not, gave it in a very condensed format. And I think this is really clarifying what happened, why it happened, and the fact that there's so much support out there and it's really gotten global at this point. What is that like for you? Because that's a lot of pressure.
it's really like when I see all the support, especially with people like I said, like Mick Foley and Gail Kim, and because I know they've been there through their career where people doubted them. All the women or Mick, he had like a hardcore. How many people did you hear that? Oh, hardcore is wrong, but he is such an icon and such a nice guy. And behind every wrestler, there's human beings, and there's like beautiful human beings out there that don't deserve to be bullied or called out or whatever. So the support, like I said, for me that was really hard to do because calling out CCW is like calling out. Um,
Your house.
like I'm very grateful for everything they did for me, especially John Zanding. But I know he would not take it personally because it's really the new management because I've always been treated really well by him. and I'm grateful and honored that he would see me as his champion, that I would be able to share the cage of death with him and Nick Gage and Lobo. Um, but yeah, I mean, the more support we have, the more people are going to be aware that there has been such an evolution when it comes to women's wrestling. We can't go back. We can only move forward from now on. Intergender wrestling is a lot easier now because our fellow male wrestlers sees us as competitor, as equal. They only want to have good matches with us now. They don't even see our gender. And I mean, gender should not be a thing. And this is 2020. Whether you're black or Asian or gay or a trans or a female or a male, wrestling is for everyone. It can be a beautiful community getting together and creating magic in a ring and great matches and entertain people. And a lot of people go to wrestling to change their minds from the week of work they had. It needs to be focused, like we need to focus on what's positive about it. And the fact that this community is all coming together now and they're helping the women with this thing that is absolutely wrong. Uh, I mean, it's overwhelming. Like I'm trying to find the words, but it's been so tough because the harassment, like it was like night and day everywhere. It's slowed down, and I know for a fact that with people like Gail Kim and Mick Foley and Mikey Whipwreck being so supportive, I know it helped. Like people's like, whoa, this is serious. This is not just snowflake girls going around and crying. No, no, this is people like kind of killing the work we've been working for. For me, it's been it'll be 24 years as I'm wrestling. I have to fight the governments for women's right in Canada. I got beat up so bad because I had no women opponents. So I had to face the guy who didn't want to wrestle the girls. I'm pretty sure Saraya Knight in England has the same type of stories, or Madison Eagle in Australia. There's all like different women all over the world who've worked so hard to build their division up to now. Women main eventing WrestleMania WWE. It's a very long road. We've worked really hard for it. So please, when we trust you with our image and you promised us that this is serious, just, it's a promise, keep it.
Yeah, let's talk about that because
Hmm.
clearly there has been a significant amount of issues, and in general, and I hate to say this, and we're going to talk about this in a few more minutes with what just happened in the last 2 days, but harassment in the wrestling community as a whole. Billy Dixon was on my main podcast and he was talking about it, and I just had Russell Rogue on last night talking, and then obviously Billy and Russell are both gay, and they were talking about harassment of being gay wrestlers and being, I guess, digged at and ribbed a little bit in certain ways and other incidents happening.
Hmm.
And I don't want to go into any more details because that's their things when they want to talk about it. But
Hmm.
there's been sexual assault in that realm, and then even with female competitors, there's been things like that, and also the managerial role has been, bestowed or shoved on. And there's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with a woman who wants to be a female manager. There's nothing wrong with that if she so chooses and doesn't want to actually wrestle. Like Selena Vega can wrestle.
I was going to say Selena Vega is doing a great job. I wrestled her. She knows how to wrestle, but she's doing such an incredible job. Or you go back a few years, Vicky Guerrero was a great manager. I mean, I think managers are a lost art. Like you need manager. They have to the match, whether they're
Yeah,
male or female. It doesn't matter
yeah.
which gender they are. Like you said, they add to the show. It's cool when there's like one of them. But yeah,
Reason
if you're a manager, do whatever a manager will do. If you're a wrestler, you do something else. You have two different roles.
reason why I bring it up is that there's nothing wrong with if you choose to do something in the wrestling world. It's when you're forced to do something. And I bring up the harassment because there is a lot of harassment online, and I know that women typically get it more. And I don't know where exactly it's coming from. I don't have the breakdown, but what is that like? Because in many ways, this incident, and we don't have statistics or anything, but it's not that hard of a leap that this kind of opens that up a little bit more
Yeah.
of this company doing it. And I think it's Stonecutter Media, I want to
Yes.
say, is the rebranding. So
Hmm.
what is that like? Because this kind of opens that up, and I don't want to say it gives it an okay, but it gives it closer to an
It
okay.
pretty much it does. It does because, and here's why I'm going to explain. Um, Even before the CZW, all this, the rebranding, because we are female fighters and we do have spandex outfit. Already, for some men, we are some sort of fantasy, which is fine. I mean, a woman can have a fantasy looking at a baseball player. Whatever floats your boat. There's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, when you're branding us this way, people think it's okay for. I had people. I had to close my DMs on Twitter and Instagram because it was to the point where people were trying to call me on Instagram for sex chat, and then I got plenty of dick pics. And then like, hey, are you available for wrestling sessions? And hey, send me a pics of your boobs, and I'll send you my dick and stuff. I'm like, why do you think I'm doing this? What does it say underneath my name? It says professional wrestler. It's like, oh, all women wrestlers do that. I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, it's not because like just give you an example. I've lost a lot of weight lately, so it's like, oh my god, I have abs now, or a little bit. So I took a picture of my abs, and then there was a guy going like, "Oh, see, you're trying to like objectify yourself, and you're an hypocrite because this is sexual." I'm like, what is sexual about somebody working hard, like in the gym and being proud? So you're telling me I can't go on the beach wearing a bikini because I should be wearing like a full like suit because I'm a woman. I need to hide myself completely. It really goes from one extreme to the other where you have those very supportive people. There's like, hey, you look good. We like to see the progress. This is inspiring to me. I'm trying to lose weight too. And then you got the, oh, that's it. You're a slut. I'm like, so yeah, the dick pics, the messages, the um, people calling me was the creepiest thing. Like I would see my Instagram calling. It was like, what the hell? It's like, hey, pick up. I want to have sex chat with you. I'm like, that's not what I do. There's people paid for that. Go ahead. But yeah, they just because well, you're hot and sweaty and top heavy and whatever, you're available for sex chat or send me pics of you nudes or I got also like I sell like collector's item online. Like if I have a gear that I wore, I'm gonna sell it, sign it, and people frame it. Like I have fans sending me like they all have their. It looks almost like a Hall of Fame. Like they frame gears of people, and it's really cool.
I have some stuff
And,
like that.
every time I will put something online like this, like hey, selling your panties or your dirty socks, or I was like, no, I'm selling collector's item I actually wore in a wrestling ring. I'm gonna sign it with a picture too. But yeah, it goes. Yeah, like because of everything that women wrestlers are sexy and they're promoted as sexy, it opens up the door to people thinking we're gonna do more.
And clearly
That
there's
was a
this.
very long answer for your question. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. We're live, and clearly we've gone past the point of controversial, and I'm
Hmm.
well aware that where this was going to go because this was how it was set up. I said in the email for everybody who knows that you can say whatever you want. I'm not
Hmm.
going to censor. It's live. We're live right now. You know, whether Facebook keeps it on or not, I don't think that it's going to be an issue. Hopefully, somebody won't report it. Hopefully, a bunch of people in these wrestling groups are going to appreciate it. But I think this is really important because, you know, and look, I think some people in this community go a little too far with what they do, and there's somebody I'm thinking of, and I think they took a step too far. But clearly, we see it a lot
Hmm.
with a lot of female wrestlers, and it's a problem. And and even Becky Lynch a little while ago had an incident where somebody was touching her, And then
Yeah,
I forgot what else was happening. Maybe something happened with Alexa Bliss, I want to say as well.
I think Natalia, somebody grabbed her boob at a show. Yeah, it's
Was
not
it
because it's
Natty or was
women.
it Alexa?
It's
It was one or
I
the
can't.
other. I
It
forget
may have been
which.
Alexa, but yeah, I know a female wrestler from WB. Somebody just grabbed her boob out of nowhere, and you're like, I'm here to work. I'm here to wrestle, and like right in front of everybody. Like, whoop. It's like, yeah, and it's wrong. I mean,
And not to take away, but there's also an incident with Chuck O'Neil at Beyond Wrestling where somebody grabbed Chuck O'Neil. And that's not a good idea because Chuck is a very scary man. For those who don't know, just to give a little quick story about Chuck. Chuck O'Neil was on the Ultimate Fighter, and his coach was Brock Lesnar. And I remember it because this was televised or streamed, and it happened in such a way. So with that Alexa Bliss and Natalia thing, that wasn't really caught the way it was caught with Chuck O'Neil. And I would imagine that, you know, somebody touching Chuck O'Neil, and it's going to sound sexist what I'm about to say, and slightly controversial. It's not as bad as you know.
but the thing is, it is as bad. Like he didn't go there to be like grab. But yeah, because I don't know, because it's a guy, it's funny. I guess so. It's like when you see a girl's ass, it's sexual. When you see a guy's ass, it's funny. Still an ass.
Well, unless it's Effie's, but that's a different discussion.
I know.
But I bring it up because clearly there is a double standard, and to some degree, rightfully so. And you know, so this kind of does do that, and I think that's one of the biggest things, and that's what we're seeing on Twitter. And I think a lot of people understand it. Like I think it's a very small minority of wrestling fans who are like this. I really do. I don't think
Yeah.
it's the majority. I think that it's also the idea that the indies definitely push this. You push this. I mean, you said that you fought Canada on human rights issues, and that's a fascinating thing and paved the way for a lot of intergender wrestling in that regard. And I think WWE solidified this position of that. That WrestleMania moment was very much a solidification, and it was very
Hmm.
much. I don't want to say the end game, but I want to say kind of a notch and a checkpoint.
Yeah, like I said, it's like it was a long road and it went step by step with the WrestleMania women main event thing. So yeah, it's like some 20 years to get to this point. So it was long. So we would love to stay where we're at now and not go backwards.
And I agree. And one of the things that I kind of want to talk about going forward here is that clearly this video is out. It's a lot of heat on CCW.
Hmm.
Clearly fans aren't happy. Wrestling as a whole is relatively beat up.
Hmm.
And then what is now being pushed forward? Because nobody really knows what's going on. Because it's kind of hard to figure out a consequence. Because it's not, I'm a capitalistic guy, and I believe that
Hmm.
if this happened during, a wrestling show, I would like to believe that the free market would solve it. The
Hmm.
problem is that, and my free market solution is that people would say, hey, I'm not going to a WSU show. And it would solve itself relatively quickly.
Hmm.
That's how I view it. And then people can disagree. But clearly, we're not doing any shows right now, not because of this
No.
issue, but Corona 19 or COVID 19. So, what is going on? Because it's kind of a tricky landscape that this all came out in.
Yeah, it is like what will happen.
Or what's going on
I,
just in general
yeah,
with this.
like I don't know at this moment. The important thing for me was to make people aware that this was happening, and especially the women wrestlers that they know from now on that if they do go there, that's how they're going to be marketed. If they choose to go, then it's on them. But at least they need to know what they're signing up for, and they need to know that somebody else is involved in this that doesn't care about wrestling, just wants girls to you know, sex sells and that's it. I don't care if you're an athlete or not. I'm going to sell your boobs and ass and that's it. I just want them to be aware. And I want people to make, um, to have a clear idea on what CCW is doing with the women. If they choose to go, it's their choice. But at least now that they know and that they've been supportive of women's wrestling and they know how hard it's been to get there, now they can make the choice because they have all the elements they need to make that right or wrong choice, whatever they choose to do. They can say, I'm not going to support this product from now on because I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong to the talent who, sweat, bled, and worked for them when they were expecting something else. Um, is anything going to happen with Stonecutter Media? Are they going to change? Is there any legal thing to do? I mean, a lot of people from bigger promotions who reach out says there's a thing called defamation because this is not what you guys signed up for. Is there anyone who wants to fight them in court and spend the money? That's another story. But yeah, I just want people to be aware that this is happening. And with all the information, you make your own decision if you're going to support this product or not. And right now, what we see is that not only the wrestlers don't want to go anymore, the fans, a lot of them sent me a print screen of them canceling their subscription to CZW Studios. So yeah, the fans are actually um, being on our side and showing CZW that the wrestlers did not sign up for this, but so did the fans. They wanted to see good women's wrestling, and they want to support what we're doing as wrestlers. And they're showing them right now what will happen about following COVID-19. I have no clue, but at least now fans and wrestlers, they have all the tools in their hands to make their own decision.
I would say that they have a bunch of facts, and this story is getting clearer. And obviously, I'm hoping this helps get that position
Mm-hmm.
clearer. And I am curious about two more companies, and I don't know if you know them or you heard about them. So, everybody in the DMV area has a Nova story, and
Oh, yeah. Mm.
that's a fun one, and that's somewhat similar of what's going on, slightly different, and then Capital Wrestling, and that company is now rebranding and it's kind of a big deal and a lot of stuff's happened in that company. And then we could throw in a third one, which is Pride of Wrestling, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think in New York City. And that company has had its own issues as well, but very differently than the other two for the obvious reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
The last two you mentioned, I don't know much about. And as for Nova, I've worked with them on a few shows, and then I moved from the United States to Canada when I had to deal with my old cancer thing. And so what happened, really, I'm not even sure because I haven't been able to talk to someone and get the full story. The only thing right now is that since CZW is exposed so badly on what they're doing, now I think it's going to help the other people, like being more aware of if somebody else is doing something like this. Now people are going to see right away what's going on. Um, there's one, or maybe it's going to discourage them to do anything without their talent knowing, or because they know like the power of social media and the fans boycotting like a product, it can be really strong. So hopefully, not only it's going to help the wrestlers make their own right decisions and the fans, but also companies who thought about doing the same thing are going to think about it twice before trying something like that.
And then now I want to change gears. And I definitely want to ask you about this because that Canada thing with you fighting, I think it was Ontario, is so fascinating for so many reasons. I think that Canada is incredibly intelligent and also incredibly stupid and idiotic. And certain things in that, and this is definitely in the idiotic factor. So, what was that like, and what happened with that? Because that's a big moment, I think, in intergender wrestling. I think that it's one of those moments that is not actually cited, and it should be, because
Mhm.
clearly, I'm gonna let you tell the story actually, because you know better than me.
um, I've been involved in intergender wrestling since like end of '97. When I started wrestling, I was the only girl in the class. Then I had one girl to wrestle with for a few shows, and then she stopped, so I was by myself. And as much as people were trying to tell me, oh, well, you need to be a manager, it's like, no, I want to be a wrestler. So it's like, I'm going to wrestle the guys. So that was really not like a popular decision. But I kept going, and either if like even if people were like beating me up and guys didn't want to wrestle me, I would at least get that one or two guys that were like, I'm going to do it. So we would go out there and prove people that this could work. So I ended up wrestling in the United States, more the northern part of Vermont and Maine, and also New Hampshire. But I also ended up in Ontario, where I actually won my first male championship in 1998. I was a cruiserweight champion. And then I ended up in Quebec winning a provincial championships, two tag team championships, like all male championships. And I even got the main championship of a promotion called All Star Wrestling in Ontario in 2001. And it's funny we're talking about that. I just posted a picture about that championship like about an hour ago. Um, so I was doing my Ontario thing, and I got picked up by a promotion called the Hardcore Wrestling Federation. And they knew I was doing the hardcore in Quebec, so it was like, hey, we're gonna bring it here because a girl doing that, we think it's cool. So they were very supportive. So I was doing matches with Tyson Dukes, and I was in a feud with a guy called Pitbull and Jack Damage. And one point, they wanted to book me on another show that was kind of related to Hardcore Wrestling Federation. We were a table death match in the main event in the city of Toronto. I was the only girl, of course. And somebody called the athletic commission and complained that there was a girl in a man's match when there was a law that stated women and men cannot be in the ring at the same time. So a lot of people didn't know about this rule. I'm not even sure the Ontario Commission knew about it, but it was in the book, so they had to respect it. So I was told if you don't wrestle women, and there was no women, so I was like, you'll be banned from Ontario, so you can't come here anymore. So I was like, this is so wrong. They're stopping me from doing something because I'm a woman. So what I did is I did a little bit of research with on the internet. With internet was not that cool back
This
then,
was
but
this was the
managed.
infancy of the internet. This was dial up, right?
So I managed to find the human rights number on there, and I called him and I explained what happened. And the lady went silent for a second. She goes, "Oh, girl, you got a case." So they sent me some papers, and it took 3 years, almost 4 years of bureaucracy of papers and calls. Like back then, also phone calls were like expensive. So I spent so much money on phone calls and sending in papers, and there was lawyers from the human rights fighting for me against the commission. They went to court. They couldn't find like an arrangement or something, so it went higher. So that's why it lasted so long. And then one day, 2004, I think, I get the call from the human rights saying, hey, you've won. They're down. Like, we're going to remove that law that's against women, against gender, and that is wrong. And you made it. Like, you've won. And not only did the rule get removed from the books, but like a few weeks later, the athletic commission said, like, we don't want to deal with wrestling anymore. So the whole wrestling part of the athletic commission was removed. So not only the ruling was taken down, but I took down the whole commission.
You picked the wrong career.
I should have been a lawyer or something.
Should have been a politician.
Yeah, that too. No, I don't know. I'm laughing, but I'm when I feel something is wrong, I'm not one of those who can't do nothing. It bothers me to the point where I can't sleep. It's like this is so wrong. We got to do something. When I see things happening online, I'm like, I want to go and get involved. It's like, relax. This is not your business. Shut the hell up. And but when it hits close to home, and professional wrestling has been in my life, like I said, for close to 25 years. It's been a very hard road, but I'm really grateful for all the memories I have and the friends I made and the countries I've seen and the opportunities I had. I feel like it's always been my mission to defend it, support it, and especially when it comes to female wrestlers. When I started, nobody wanted to help me, and people were laughing at me. You take this too seriously. You're just a girl, blah blah blah. So I feel like it's a mission for me, so it doesn't happen to the younger generation. So when I saw the CCW thing happen, it was the same calling as the Ontario human rights stuff. It was like this is wrong, and on top of this, I can't believe I'm hearing this in 2020 because we're talking 2001 and 2020. That's a lot of years in between, and it's still happening. This is wrong, so I have to say something. Like I was saying earlier, it bothered me for weeks before I actually, I'm gonna get my hands dirty, and somebody has to do it.
Yeah, and obviously we're talking about Canada, and it would be remiss of me and irresponsible of me not to mention this other person and this match, and it's always played on IWTV, and that's the Josh Alexander match. What was it? 4 chair shots, and then you grab the chair after like 4 of them, and then you had a chair, and he has a chair in the ring, and it's like this showdown, and it's this epic moment. And everybody who watches IWTV knows this match. It's one of the craziest things. Was it C4?
It was C4 Wrestling, yeah, indeed. And the week that they announced this
Please
match, Josh
explain who Josh
Alexander.
Alexander's is first. It's really important to explain that like he's like a big freaking monster of a
Yes, yes.
man
So for those who don't know, Josh Alexander, he's the current Impact Wrestling Tag Team
with
Champion.
Ethan
He's a
Page.
huge dude, and he's so good, so athletic, so strong. I can't say I can't say there's not enough words to describe how good
His
Josh
Twitter
Alexander is.
handle says it all. It's walking weapon.
Walking weapon, exactly. So I was very nervous about this match, and I was like, he's so good. Can I go in there and go toe to toe? And a few days before a match, she tweets about first time I saw LuFisto live. Her and Necro Butcher were punching each other, shoot in the face, and I will never forget about that. So the way the match starts with the 2 chairs, with us sitting, it's really like a little wink, wink to the Necro Butcher match where we punch each other in the face sitting on chairs, the bar fight spot they call it. And that's why I was like, he was like kind of laughing at me at the beginning of the match. I get out, get the chairs, and I say, sit your ass down. And people started, sit, sit, sit. And then the crowd went nuts the whole match from it. And um, it's one of those matches that I was watching a little bit yesterday because I was looking for a clip. And it's one of those matches, especially the ending. Like I tear up every time I watched it because
Standing ovation as
I got
well.
my ass kicked really bad. And at the end, as I'm slowly getting up, all the fans stood up, gave me a standing ovation, and ran to the ring to clap on the mat. And it's a magical moment. It's the best word I can find. If somebody wants to see it, it is on my YouTube channel. I only put like the standing ovation, but it's one of my favorite matches of all time. It's I thought I was going towards retirement because my knee was like not too good, and I was tired of it, and I was planning to retire. And when this match happened and this reaction, I was like, oh, it kind of made me think. And I went backstage and I talked to the promoter. I'm like, well, maybe I still have it. And Mark from C4 is like, no, you never lost it. You only think you did. And then I was like, okay. I think we're good.
So just to even talk a little bit about that because it's an intense match. I think it's on IWTV.
It is. It is. Yeah.
It's probably somewhere on YouTube as well. It's not a hard match to find. It's not even that long of a match in reality. But it's an intense match, and there are shots. The shot that IWTV uses is that they show Josh Alexander being like shocked that he can't take you down. It's really an amazing thing, and if you're a wrestling fan, it's one of those matches that's just such an amazing match to watch, and it's really a nice match to watch as well. And it's intense. It's intense, and it reminds me of like the rules were bent. Let's just say the rules were extremely bent during that match, and rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Yeah, it was a no DQ, so hey, we used we used what we could find.
There was a lot of stuff in that match, and
Yeah.
rules were bent. Let's just leave it at that. But
Yeah.
anyhow,
It's one of my favorite matches, though. It is.
I kind of want to talk about what we mentioned at the start of this, and that's the other stuff that's happened this week. And I'm just curious about your take on it. And it's not as pleasant as that match is, but clearly we've had two pretty significant situations slash deaths in
Mhm.
wrestling. Shad, and for those who don't know who Shad was, he was from Crime Time, and I guess a riptide caught him and his son, and then he put his son ahead of him, and unfortunately he didn't make it. And then Hana from Stardom,
Oh yeah.
and everything that's going on, and I guess we know very little about that. Beyond that, there was a lot of cyberbullying involved, but we don't really know everything about that yet.
Hmm.
And so, what is your take on that? Because they're very different situations.
Very different situations, but very both sad. Um, when it comes to Shad, I don't want to say that there's beauty in death, but when it comes to him, to make the ultimate sacrifice as a parent to save his son is so like I don't even know if there's a word
It's
because you're
very
like
uplifting, and it shows the love that he had for his
it's
kid.
yeah,
And
as a parent that you are selfless and you're going to put your children before. And a lot of people like mention the word hero, and I truly believe that yes, he is indeed a hero. Um, through death, he made sure that his son will go on and have a life. And I'm someone who lived without a father because my father died when I was really young, and it's really really tough. So I've been thinking a lot about his son, trying to think how is he living with that, because I hope that he won't get the survivor like guilt because his father died for him. Because my God, it's such a tough thing to talk about. Because like I said, it's there's beauty in it, but there's infinite sadness for the wife who lost the husband and the son who literally was with his dad and his dad saved his life only to see him like disappear. Um, gosh, I can only imagine what they're going through. Yeah.
then obviously the other one, which is breaking news, and for those who don't know, um, that was on Apple. Had an article about it. It's trending on Twitter. I don't know if Shad was trending on Twitter, but I believe
Yeah, he was.
Hannah it very much is, and I don't know as much about her. And it's she was in Stardom, very young, 22, and
Mm.
a lot of stuff is going on, and it kind of relates to a little bit of this CCW stuff with harassment is involved. So I don't know what your take is on it because you're in the business. I am sort of in a weird place because I am a fan who interviews a lot of wrestlers, but I am not in the business, and I can only react as a fan. I can't react as a wrestler.
The only thing, I mean, the main thing people have to be aware is that behind every wrestler there is a human being. You don't know what they're going through in their day, in their daily lives. You don't know their full story. Um, like I with the CCW thing, I had people analyzing me like if they knew me for 20 years. I kind of feel the same thing was happening to her. People were judging her and analyzing her and telling her everything was wrong. And fortunately, I can't understand all the Japanese tweets that were sent to her. But it shows that words can be can kill someone. Like, how much can a person take of being constantly harassed and bullied to the point where she can't go?
Especially.
She's a public figure. She needs to go online. Now it's the way it works. Everything goes through social media, so you can't escape it. And then every time she was going online, there was somebody or many people harassing her. And to use the words of Mick Foley, he said, like, she was 22 years old. Let that sink in. 22 years old. It's like, and there's no age for bullying and harassment. Whatever age you are, it hurts. And for some people, they're gonna grow stronger from all the hate. But there's a lot of them. I mean, we know of Anna because she was a public figure, but how many people in your neighborhood that actually do commit suicide because of all the bullying and the bad stuff people say about them that most of the time are not even true. It's just people thinking they know what they're talking about. A lot of people, especially online, are keyboard warriors and they're very ignorant about what they're talking about. They don't do research, they have no clue, they just go with their opinions and they don't even know the person that they're judging. And that hurts. Um, I if you guys can go on Soraya Knight's Instagram, she posted a message, and I'm choking up just to remembering the words she was saying when all the things happened with Paige. It was really hard on their families, and there was extreme bullying and harassment and nonstop for the Knight's family. And I mean, her message is so strong. The only thing I can hope is that cyberbullying, we got to do something about it because I was trying to get that guy kicked out of Twitter, and Twitter was doing absolutely nothing, even if what he was saying was against all women, and he was repeating himself like nonstop on everything that I would write. Um, so yeah, the social media platforms are not doing much, and I myself, when I called the police, I was told like, "Oh, you haven't been harassed for long enough." Okay, when do you judge as long enough? People like this girl, she died. She's not here anymore. She like a mother lost her child today, and a lot of my wrestling peers lost a friend. Um, I'm thinking of Thunder Rosa. I'm thinking of Hudson Envy. I'm thinking of Layla Hirsch. Like all
May
these women,
Michelle is another one.
yeah, they all worked with her up close, and she was nice to them. She was a great human being to them. And now today, she's not. She's gone. Why? For something that really could have been like stop. So I just hope that she won't die in vain, and that people will learn from this. First of all, you don't go online, analyze people, and pretend you know what you're talking about, and just bully people. There's a human being behind that wrestling persona, that musician persona. That's like there's an artist there. There's a um, a hockey player, whatever they're doing in the public eye. There's a person behind, and you don't know their story. Just be aware of that, and just be kind.
And now I think that kind of says it all, and I don't think we could say it any better. But I do want to talk about something else and a few more things. And one of those is we sort of mentioned it before with CCW and its little branch off of that. What do you think is kind of going to be the next step for wrestling with COVID-19? And I'm going to just say it this way is that I come from the con world. And what's happening right now is that some conventions are opening up. I had somebody
Hmm.
earlier on tell me that Tampa is saying we're going ahead on July 17th in Florida, and there are a variety of concerns about that, both from a logistics standpoint, and then on top of just who's going to show up. And I'm a big DC primetime wrestling. Gator was on, Ariel Nix, who you know was on, and a bunch of other wrestlers were on. And I'm just curious, what do you feel is sort of the next step, and when we're coming back? Because there's two sides to it, and I want to get this out, and I'm gonna let you speak. Um, the first side is the performers and people put the ring together, and a lot of these things are held in bars and other venues, or even schools sometimes, or
Hmm.
public rec centers. And then the other component of it, which is just as important, is the fans and how they feel comfortable. Because a lot of these indie shows, and I know Primetime and Gator said it, and I don't think he's going to mind me saying it again, they can't run a fanless show. They need that fan money and those ticket money. So,
Hmm.
and then just to give CCW and WSU some praise for a second, they have the funds to run a fanless show because they've been around for so long. Regardless of this situation, I believe in giving credit where credit's due, but a lot of promotions can't. And so I'm just curious what you feel is sort of the next step and where we're going and when things get back to normalcy.
The question is, will things get back to normal?
That question too, you can answer.
Not only am I a pro wrestler, but I do work at a company that provides and produces sanitary products. So we get a lot of input and I mean a lot of the news on what's really going on. And the thing with COVID-19 is right now things are, especially I'm talking for Canada, the government here has been so good at confining people and making sure everybody's safe and people wear the mask and people wash their hands and they've been like really really good. I will really give credit to my government for that, helping people with the money and everything. um, but the thing with COVID-19 is we don't know if it's going to slow down, if it's going to pick up, if there's going to be like they call it like a second wave of the virus. Is it going to slow down and then somebody else going to have it and then spread again? The problem right now is that there's no vaccine and there's no medication. Whatever people say right now at this very moment, nothing fixes the problem or
Also,
prevents
there's
it.
a lack of information,
Lack of information.
big
Yeah.
lack of information, and that's a problem. And then even the communication of that information as well. But continue.
Exactly, and I mean, don't shoot yourself with Lysol. Do not take what's the chloro? I can't even remember the name. Chlor, whatever people say there you need to take. This is wrong too. Like you gotta wait. Like scientists are working on it, and they're working on it a lot faster than they would on any other occasions.
But it takes
But
time.
I mean, it takes time and they will need to test it and that's a few months. And I mean, here things are starting to be back to normal a little bit. The only thing they're asking, if you go out, if you can wear a mask, please do, because if you have it, at least you're going to stop from spreading it, because the virus goes around with the like the water that's coming out of your mouth, if that makes sense. That's And if it spreads, that's when the virus is going uh to other people. And so they're like, if you can do that, stay 6 feet away. So if you sneeze or something, you have time to cover, or at least if you sneeze, you're far enough that it's not going to get on the other person. um so the problem with wrestling shows, I mean, with wrestlers, it can be limited. Let's say we're going to use six wrestlers and everybody's fine, nobody has symptoms. We're going to do this card and that's it with the one referee. Like there's way to work it. The only thing with the fans is how do you put fans in a crowd and spread them wide enough so there's no contact, and you kind of lose the fun of it, and it's a gathering that is, everybody together, and you're losing that. Are promotions ready to do that? Are fans ready to do that? Or I'm a big concert person. Like I go see metal shows nonstop. And right now, at this very moment, I don't see myself going into a metal show, into the mosh pit with people like sweating on me and, hitting each other and having fun. Because if somebody has it in that room, everybody's going to have it. So it starts from one person to 50 to 500 to however many people there is in that room. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. It's like, can wrestling show? I mean, All Elite is doing it, Impact is doing it, WWE's doing it, where they have shows without crowd. But for an independent wrestling, that
Really
doesn't
hard.
really work. It's
Really
really
hard to
hard
do it.
unless they
Really
want to
hard.
try to do like materials that they can sell online. But then again, people have less money because a lot of people are not working. It's like it's such a vicious cycle. Um, So how long this is going to take? I mean, how long will it take to have a vaccine or at least medication that if you're sick, it gets fixed like easily?
On that note, we're gonna start wrapping up because there's nothing I can ask on the COVID-19 thing anymore because
It
we
is
don't
what it
know.
is. That's where we're at. It is what it is.
But I did shoot you a message in Skype, and I'm gonna stick to it. That you get to pick a shirt, and so you have a lot of power. You can pick something really, really cool for me, or something really bad that I'm gonna pick up. And so I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared what she's gonna pick for me.
For my t-shirts, like I have so many.
A little bit
I have a
scared.
new one
So,
coming. I have a new one coming.
ooh, let's describe it if you can.
I call it the metal goddess. It looks like a metal shirt with something that probably Alice Cooper would sell. So it's really cool. It was designed by Off the Dead, who makes like the All Elite T-shirts, and it's pretty cool. So this one's coming. And if you're an Iron Maiden shirt, I got one that's inspired by the Trooper, and I got one that says the Wounded Owl University. Like there's so many
See,
shirts. So do you like
I'm
black and white? Do you
scared.
like color? They're all black.
I'm scared because you could pick something that's like really girly and it's gonna look ridiculous on
I
me.
don't have really girly shirts. Most of them are black and white or black, red, and white. Like
I'm
the
sure.
only one when I was like doing an anime gimmick might be a little bit more girly. But if you look at the last T-shirts I had, they're really more like male oriented. And
Well,
like
well,
I get inspired by metal, so
you have the power. So whatever link you send me, I'm gonna buy that one, and then I will
sounds
post
good.
up on Twitter which one I am getting. So for everybody who's watching this, it's either gonna be really good or really bad, and so we're gonna leave it at that. But having speaking about promotions, because so she's gonna do that after, and then I'll post it up on Twitter along with this interview so everybody can see. And I might be shooting myself in the foot here, but anyway, I do want to give you an opportunity to promote yourself because you do have a pro wrestling tease. You have social media. You're getting a lot of attention as is. I don't know if you got a Facebook page, and I don't know anything else you got going on, but definitely feel free to share.
You can find me on Instagram. It's Wounded Al LuFisto, at LuFisto on Twitter, Facebook.com/LuFisto on Facebook. I got a Patreon.com/LuFisto. My Patreon is mostly like matches and funny stories from the road. I do vlogs. I do all kinds of stuff. Pretty much for hardcore fans and like fun stuff. There's nothing. Sorry, there's no nudity. I describe myself as a coffee addict, a metalhead banger. So lots. I like exclusive. I do when I go to the concerts when there's concert, like exclusive material and images and pictures and everything I take at the concerts. Besides that, if you can't remember all this, Lufisto.com is my website. All the links are there. And if you want to write to me, it's lufisto@hotmail.com, and I try to answer everybody. Unless you send me something really creepy, then I won't.
Well, on that note, we're going to end, but I'm going to say it, and I've been saying it to everybody who's been on, that definitely go support people financially, whether it's comic book people, wrestlers, voice actors, the few cosplayers who have been on, whatever they got for sale. Definitely go out and support them, check out what they're doing. And if you can't do that because you're taking care of your family, but you still have electricity and the internet, there's no good reason for you not to follow somebody on Facebook, social media, check out their website, check out anything they're doing that's free, because that definitely helps the algorithms. As well
Hmm.
as if you just tweet, say, hey, LuFisto, I love your match with Josh Alexander. Or say, oh, you deserve it, and the little clappy emoji. Something like that on Twitter is usually good. Don't be a dick. So clearly don't do that. But if you say, hey, I really enjoyed your match, just sort on IWTV, it definitely helps, and that actually is just as important as buying a shirt, because that helps let people know, or even retweeting. If you can't think of something witty to say, or you think you're pushing the line, retweeting something or liking something is also amazing on Facebook and Twitter. So thank you for being on, because I've been wanting to do this for 2 years. 2 years
Thank you for
plus,
having me.
plus, and then I've been waiting for it, and we finally got it done.
Woo-hoo.